Hi everyone. Today we will be looking at argumentative essay writing. We're going to look at the classic four-paragraph essay. So an argumentative essay is an essay which has a thesis and argues a point. A thesis basically is the one sentence that summarizes the argument you are trying to make or the point you are trying to argue. For making this point, you don't offer your opinion or your ideas or say, I believe, I think something. Instead, you use academic evidence to support the argument. So, to get this academic evidence means you have to do research and find reliable, credible articles which support what you are saying. This is not a review, a summary, or a critique in the sense that you are not reviewing the literature, you are not summarizing an article, and you are not critiquing somebody else's work. Instead, what you are doing is putting forward your own argument and providing evidence from readings from academic literature to make your point. In this, we remove all bias and rhetoric, perspective, points of view, and instead we rely on what academic findings say, which keeps it more scientific and more objective. In writing this, we never use the pronouns I or we or their related pronouns. Yeah. So the structure of an argumentative essay can take many forms, but we're going to look at the classic four-paragraph essay. Paragraph 1 is the introduction, paragraph 2 is your first point, paragraph 3 second point, and finally conclusion. Unlike a French argumentative essay, here you put your thesis or your thesis statement immediately in the introduction. The thesis statement is basically your entire argument in one sentence. It should be very clear and concise. It should explain exactly what you're arguing and not leave any room for interpretation. So here I have a couple examples. Walk 10,000 steps a day improves health. It's very simple, but you would have to support this finding with some sort of research or scientific evidence. Finally, in A Man in Full, Tom Wolfe presents archaic forms of masculinity. This is a literature thesis, so you would find different analysis of the text and you would use those to support your argument. These thesis statements can be as simple as more technology should be integrated into the college classroom, or something along the lines of students should be taught time management skills in the first year or first session of college. These are very simple statements, but to back them up, you need proper evidence and logic. So in the introduction, you should give a short general overview of what you're speaking about. You should start with a hook or something to grab people's attention. This can be a quotation or a statistic or talking about the history of the ideas or the things you are about to talk about. After that, you want to have your thesis statement. So this is one clear statement that is very clear, stands alone to the reader that says, this is what I'm about to argue, or this is what I'm about to say. After that, you want to include your 2 or 3 points. For this essay, we're sticking with 2 points, so 2 body paragraphs. These are your topic sentences. You include these because they help guide the reader through the paper. When they see them in the introduction, they go, okay, this is what the person is about to argue, and it adds structure overall. So maybe your thesis statement is more technology should be integrated into the college classroom. The first point could be the integration of technology helps students learn more efficiently, and second point could be the integration or use of technology in the classroom helps students with learning deficiencies learn at the same speed as other students. So here when you look after the introduction, you have your first and second body paragraph. So these body paragraphs are basically the 2 points that you've made to support your argument. You always want to start with your topic sentence. So if we go back, we say, integrating technology into the classroom makes students learn more efficiently. So this is the first sentence of that body paragraph. Then you want to present your reasoning for this and the evidence. So the evidence has to come from literature. So you would say, something along the lines as technology improves efficiency of learning. In a study in 2012 by Harvard University, they found that having AI or some sort of technology in the classroom made it easier for students to learn material in a shorter time span. And then the reasoning would be, well, this shows clearly that technology was making the class more efficient overall. In a regular argumentative essay, you would acknowledge counter-argument. Maybe there's evidence that shows that technology actually makes it more difficult for students to learn. It hinders their learning. But here with this essay, you're not going to write that. You're really just going to make your argument. Finally, if you can, segue or transition into the next paragraph. The next paragraph would be your next point, and finally, at the end, it would be the conclusion. The conclusion is a little different than the French style of writing. So instead of coming with your main big point, here are all my points, and now I have proven this. Instead, what you're saying is, this was my argument. These were the two reasons for the argument, or the two pieces of evidence that I supported it with. And you finish by providing an additional question or a suggestion. So if we're looking at technology in the classroom, it would be interesting to know if technology in the classroom was efficient at all levels of education, starting from primary, secondary school, college, and university, or if it was more efficient in one domain. Here, you're leaving an open ending to allow for further research or ask another question. Absolutely what you do not want to do is to offer an additional argument here. So you've made your two strong arguments, you've had evidence, you've given the reason why this evidence makes for a strong argument, and now you're going to add another argument that doesn't have evidence, that you're just throwing it out there without sort of any afterthought or anything like that. So you don't want to make additional arguments here. Really what you're doing is reverse engineering an introduction. So you give your 2 points, you give your thesis statement again in a different form than you find it in the introduction, and you ask a question, suggestion, and you're out. All right, so for referencing and quotation, in an academic essay, you need to refer to the literature. To refer to the literature, you need to include the author's name and the year of publication inside of parentheses. So this requires that you do research to back up what you are arguing. If you just say technology makes students learn faster and you don't have any sort of reference to a writer or an academic study, then this doesn't mean anything. If you say that this is something that happens, but you don't provide backup, you don't provide evidence, it's just your opinion. So even though you're not including I or saying I think or I believe, it is considered your opinion whenever you don't refer to the literature. So in parenthesis, you should put last name of the author and the year. So it can be Smith, 2021, Johnson, 2019, any sort of evidence that you've used. Now, of course, all this referencing in the text has to be linked back to your reference list. A reference list should be properly formatted, and it should be at the end of your essay. So to write this essay, you really need to have a cover page, you have your main body text, and then you have a reference list at the end. The reference list should be properly formatted and put in order based on APA or MLA standards. You can find those online at Purdue or OWL or another website. There are also citation generators which will make the citation for you. It's really important that you have adequate or credible sources. If you're just using blogs or anything that you find online, it doesn't make for a strong argument, and it makes it just more of a puff piece or an opinion piece. Now, many people have their own writing process, which is absolutely fine. I've outlined a short one here so that you can refer back to it and use it if you'd like, or change it, but I wanted to give you some structure. So first thing you want to do is choose the subject that interests you. So this can be technology and education. conduct preliminary research. So you go out there, you do research maybe on Google Scholar, on Harvard Business Review, any credible sources, news sources, academic sources. So you find your research. Then you want to find an argument that interests you. So for time management, maybe it can be how to be more efficient in studying, how to manage your free time and hobbies to be more productive at work. There can be many things that you want to look at. So you find your interesting argument, and then you write your first thesis statement. Now I say first because a thesis statement can change through the writing process. After you've done that, make your outline. The best way to make an outline is to put your thesis statement at the top, write a title, introduction. Then for body 1 and 2, find your arguments. Once you have your 2 arguments, you can start looking for evidence in the reading that you've done to support those arguments. After you have that, you can really start the writing process. You can write your first draft. Now, you plug in these pieces of information by doing very much a structured, uniform composition. So there will be a sample of that you can also look at online. After that, after you've written the first draft, take some time to reflect on your work, put it down for a day or two, come back to it later with fresh eyes. Maybe you see something that you want to add or whatever. Edit that first draft, look for issues in the arguments, issues in the evidence. You can also look for grammatical issues, but don't focus on it too much. Finally, refine your thesis statement. Make sure your thesis statement and your introduction really are connected to what you are about to argue or what you are about to say. Finally, write your final draft, compile references, create your bibliography, do your cover page, all the little stuff that comes at the end. Remember, for academic writing, it's formal and professional. It rarely includes opinion or emotion, so you have to remove that. There's very specific language forms that you should be using, so you want to be more formal in your writing. You always want to elevate the language, so this means no contractions, so couldn't becomes could not, there becomes they are, we're becomes we are, shouldn't becomes should not, things like that. There are many implicit and explicit rules. We can't go over them all, but just to give you an idea, you want to elevate your language as much as possible. So a word about cover pages. All the essays should have a cover page. To do this, you do it on a separate page at the beginning of your essay. You should have the title of your essay. Here you can be a little creative. It's one of the few things where you get to decide a title or how you want to call it, which is very nice. Then you want to have by your name, for your professor's name or my name, and then you want to include the name of the class, so anglais propre programme, and then you want to have the name of the school, whatever college you're going to. So here we would have Collège Sorel-Tracy or Cégep Sorel-Tracy, and then finally the date of submission. Last but not least, I put a few examples of academic writing word upgrades. Remember, you're always trying to be more formal, more precise, more specific with your language. So do or make research, we want to use conduct research. Look at, we want to analyze or examine. Make is a blanket general term. You want to be more specific, you produce, you create, etc. A lot or lots should be replaced by many and much. Need is require. Get can be almost any word, so you want to use a very specific term here. Use obtain, receive, become, transform. Keep, you can use retain. Find out is discover or reveal. The list is really endless, so I'll provide a short list of good academic words, but this is just to show you a few of the changes you can make to elevate the vocabulary in your writing. Anyways, that's all. There will be further instructions, but this is to give you a general overview of how you write an academic essay. I hope this was helpful for you. Please, if you have any questions, contact me. If you'd like to sit down and discuss your essay, I also have time for that in my office hours. Have a good day.